Hello and welcome to our Struggling Students series. In this series, we look at some simple mathematical operations that often give students trouble and prevent them from coming to a complete understanding. And they need to practice the steps so that they can see how easy maths really is. So today we're considering dividing fractions by fractions and fractions by numbers that are not fractions, and dealing with mixed expressions which have in fractions as well as other variables. So let's get started. First, we write our expression, and as you can see, it has a part that's a fraction and a part that is not a fraction. So what we want to do is we want to extract the I in both of those terms. So let's make I the subject by extracting it. Once we extract it, we can see that all we have to do to get I by itself isolated, we want to isolate I as the subject, is to divide V1 by the bracketed expression, and we have made I the subject of our expression. So you need to practice that, because you will learn your algebra really well if you make any term in any expression the subject. That will really get your algebra going. But you can solve for any variable or constant in your expression by making it the subject. Okay, so what do we do next? Well, we have to substitute I, or rather substitute for I, in another equation. This is an example of how we put one equation into the next. So our next equation has I on the top, and we've simply replaced the I by what it is equal to. And once again, we have a complex fraction. We say complex because it's a fraction that has a mixed number there in the denominator. And we divide that whole fraction on top by CS at the bottom. So this is an example of dividing a multimode expression by a quantity. Now, if we were dividing by CS, we're going to have to multiply by 1 over CS. And if we were dividing by 1 over CS, we would have to multiply by CS, or rather CS over 1. So the rule is to take the bottom part and take the reciprocal of that and multiply. That's what we're going to do. We're going to multiply by the reciprocal of what is on the bottom. As you can see, when we multiply by the reciprocal of what is on the bottom, we turn a division into a multiplication. We're multiplying then by 1 over the CS, which was on the bottom, and the top quantity sits by itself. Now, what you have to realize is that anytime we're multiplying like this, the thing that we're multiplying belongs on the top. So we can take the 1 over CS and put it right on top in the numerator part, as shown there on the right. You didn't know you could do that? Well, now you do. Now, we want to divide both sides by V1. So the V1 disappears and comes under the V2, and we are left with only the 1 over the CS on top. But this is now a good example of we have a fraction on top and a mixed expression on the bottom. What do we do? Well, the first thing we need to do is to turn our mixed expression on the bottom into a fraction, and we want to get it all over the CS. So we do that by multiplying by CS the quantity that is not over CS and then putting it everything over CS. Notice what we've done. Now, what happens next? Well, we want to prove to you that that is the same as what we started with. So we, once again, separate them. We cancel out the CS, and we're back to where we started from. So we're going to take our expression now, and we're going to substitute it in the denominator there. And to make sure you get it clearly, here's what we've done. So stop and see exactly what we've done, and you will feel comfortable and happy. Next, what we need to do now, we need to change our division into a multiplication by flipping the bottom part, which is called taking the reciprocal of what we were trying to divide by, and multiply it. Multiply it. So we're going to do that now. We flip it over, we multiply the 1 over CS by it, and nice things happen. The CS cancels out, and we get our final answer. So thanks for watching our Help for Struggling Students series, where we debunk or demystify the maths. We simplify the maths for you. We really appreciate you watching these series, and we've kept it under 7 minutes. See you in the next video.